All right, welcome back to CP Digital Studio. I am the owner of CP Digital Studio, Chris Parks. We build businesses for websites. And today I want to talk about, as you can see, the pricing paradox. And I wanted to make a very quick video about, essentially, I hear this conversation all the time from business owners. Chris, I really like what you serve, what you provide, but I just can't afford it. The price point may be just too high. Fair enough. I understand. And I wanted to make a video content about this so that way you guys actually have an honest way forward when it comes to this, because there's actually a couple of things you can do when you run into that problem, right? And so if we just talk about a few, and just to define this clearly, the pricing paradox is when you absolutely love the website plan, but you just can't afford it in your project budget, which happens all the time, right? And so um the dilemma is this: you know that you need a website to grow, you know that you need a website to perform in a way that you need it to perform, whether that's accepting payments, whether that's going through and connecting to certain software, whether that's connecting to your CRM, whether that's doing something simple like booking an appointment. Whatever it may be, your website needs to do a multitude of things so that way it's working for you. And you may not be able to build it yourself because you may not have the expertise. That's quite literally where I come in and other web developers come in. And so we get to this point where, you have something that you need and you find someone like myself that has a service that can provide what you need, but you find yourself in a position where you can't afford it. And just to be clear, there are a variety of reasons for this. It's not just that people don't have money. A lot of times when I work with you guys, when I work with clients, there are very real circumstances that happen in life. I recently lost my grandmother, and so I know how difficult those kind of situations can be. Lost family members are very, very hard to deal with. There are emergencies that happen in life. Your siblings, your family members may be going through a crisis. You may lose your job, which can be impactful. Your kids may be acting out, whatever it may be. Like we live in the real world. There are a multitude of reasons as to why your business plan may go south and reasons why you cannot financially afford to commit to something like your business right now. And so there are, those are very real bottlenecks. It doesn't always happen because people don't have money. And so I recognize that and I try to make sure that my business helps you guys as much as humanly possible. And here are some of the ways that I look at it when it comes to knowing that you need a service, knowing that you have to get a website as an example, and how to overcome that. Right. So option one, I always recommend this option because this is going to be the most important thing for your business. Even if you are not tech savvy, even if you are not able to do this, if you don't have the patience for it, I'd recommend you still give something a try, right? Ultimately, what web developers are here for is not just to build a website. Anyone can build your website for you. If all you're looking for is a website, continue to move forward. Continue to swipe left, swipe right, find someone that can do it for you and have them build the website, or you build it yourself. Because if you're just looking for a website is not that difficult to create. What I do as a web developer is take different systems and integrate that into the website so that way they work for you. So we're talking about automations, connecting your website to your CRM, helping your website get traffic leads, helping your website convert more people, like all of the technical backend stuff. That's what web developers are for. We mix software with the website to ensure that you have a much better product and an asset that works for you. If you just need a website, quick and easy, one that can work, there are a variety of different web developers that are cheap, and a variety of different web developers that can do this. And you can do this. You can go to the GoDaddies, to the WordPress, to the Wix sites, and you can at least make something. I'm not going to say it's going to be 100% amazing. It's not going to be fantastic. But in terms of what you're able to create, if you just need something on a screen, you can do that. And so what I recommend to people is, if you have not tried a solution like getting your like making your own website, I would still recommend that you try it, even though it will be difficult, even though it will be hard. I recommend that you still give it a shot because if you have no money, then you have no options. Take the time and the patience to actually try and start. A lot of these programs, a lot of these larger platforms, they have tools in place where you can actually get them for cheap, for free, or at a discount. And so try to implement that. Try to take that into consideration. Um, Option two, when it comes to not being able to afford something up front. So in my particular experience, in my business, I don't necessarily have this problem because for my clients, you're not paying anything up front. You pay after everything is done. But for other web developers and for other, platforms, you may have to pay a certain fee to get started. And that's okay. That's just a part of doing business. what I recommend here is, if you know that you are working with an independent contractor like myself with an individual business, or a team, a small business that is able to be fluid, I'd recommend payment plans. If the business is willing to work with you, they will make payment plans for you. And a lot of us actually, in terms of web developers, we have payment plans in place because we don't expect anyone to have $1,000 up front as far as the website is concerned. Now, some web developers do, but for people, like me who actually understand what it's like to be in business, really starting off in your first 30, 60, 90 days of business, you just might not have it. But what I like to do is, if you're serious about what you're doing, if you're committed to your business, if you believe in it, and I can see that in the way that you operate, we'll work with you. We'll set up payment plans, we'll set up structured plans so that way, even if we don't get the whole amount up front, so long as you're showing dedication to your business and to your craft and we can see that improvement, yeah, we'll set up payment plans. The only time payment plans really get in the way for business owners in general, and for people on the contractor side that make these contracts, the only time you really get in trouble with payment plans is when the person that you're doing a payment plan with isn't really putting in the work. And that can be, most people won't say this online, but that can be very troublesome. Like if I'm willing to work with you on your payment plan to make sure that you get the website you need because I want to make sure that you get help, and ultimately I want to make sure that your business is successful, and then you're not putting in the work, and this is what not putting in the work looks like. If when I contact you about images for your website, you're unresponsive. If when I call you or text you, there's no response at all. If there's an emergency, that's one thing. But so many times, we work with clients, and this is early web developers when we first start. A lot of us will make the time to work with clients whenever at whatever stage they're at. But when we start to see that the commitment isn't there, when the clients are respectfully dragging their feet for whatever reasons, it starts to diminish what we believe is valuable in terms of our time. And so think about it this way: if you run into someone on the street that needs water, desperately needs water, for the most part, it will be very difficult for you and most people to turn away from that person, because ultimately most of us on this earth want to help people. That's why I started this business. I want to help your business grow and for you to succeed. But if you bring the water to the person who desperately needs it and they look at you and say, "Well, I have too many circumstances, that's why I can't drink this water." And you say, "Why?" "Well, my legs don't work. The sky falls every other Tuesday. If I drink this water, I'll have to go pee, and that's going to be a headache to have to go and pee. And then on top of all of that, I have to make sure the water is safe and not contaminated. And even though you just brought me the water, I want to make sure that I know that it's safe, that it's and sometimes I want my own water." All these different reasons, right? At some point, even the most gracious of us will get to a point where it's like, you know what? Does this person actually want this? And so when it comes to making your website and asking developers or whoever you're working with to set you up on a payment plan, ask, because for the most part, people are willing to help you if you're willing to help yourself. But if you're not willing to help yourself and you're not dedicated to your business, you can't expect for anybody else to help you. So ask for payment plans, see what the person says, and for the most part, like I said, a lot of web developers, especially independent contractors like myself, we are willing to help you, get your dreams achieved and work with you in a lot of different areas. It's only when the dedication is not shown that things can get dicey. So here's what I would say as well. Option number 3, that's not really talked about as much. If you don't have the money to build your website, if you don't have the money to build your platform, if you don't have the money to start your business, the most effective way that you can be successful is by saving the money that is necessary for you to start. Whatever that may look like, whether it's $39 a month or $50 a month, or even just setting aside $25 or $100. If you take the time to save for it, particularly for something like a website, your business, you're not only learning a fundamental skill of business, which is to save your money and guard your resources, you're learning how to budget for your own life effectively. And it's showing by you saving, you're showing and proving to yourself and to your business and to the future employees that you will have that this is important for you. This is something that you are willing to set aside time and money for. This is showing that you are sacrificing something that you could have now for a future that you want tomorrow. And that is incredibly impactful. When I first started, I couldn't afford a website. And so I took the path of trying to build one myself. Took a lot of missteps in making that, took a lot of missteps in starting, but ultimately, obviously, it worked out. For other business owners, I've heard so many stories about people driving 60 miles to get to their destination, to get the products to their clients. I've heard of business owners going into debt to make sure they get their business out there because they believe in themselves that much. And while I won't advocate for that, what I will advocate for is you saving, set aside money that you would use for food, setting aside money that you would use for, going out, putting that towards money that you can use for your business, whether that's advertisements, especially a website, um, getting more products, testing products, getting more leads, all of those things. If your business means that much to you, then save for it. You will prove to yourself that you're capable of so much more if you can actually show that you're going to save the money that you need for your website. This option takes longer, absolutely, because you can't actually start until you have the money saved, unless you ask for a payment plan. But regardless of that, it is a much safer route than taking out debt or going into huge amounts of debt for your business and for your website. So save your money, save progressively, save over time. Take the money that you would spend for going out and eating and dedicate it towards something that's actually going to make you money in the future, which is called an investment. Okay, this is the last one that no one thinks about, and I wanted to save this for last because I've never heard anyone think about this until I actually heard it from one of my clients themselves. So we're business owners. We have skills, resources that people will pay money for, so long as we present it to them in a reasonable way. We're business owners. We have skills. We have trades that we have practiced, that we have hopefully perfected, that we can use as leverage to get things that we don't necessarily have. And so if you have a skill or a trade or a portion of knowledge in your mind that is useful, that is marketable, the reason why you're going into business, you want to be able to use that for more than just getting money from your clients. If you are able to barter your way or trade your way into a resource or asset that you don't have, more power to you. Do it. Go for it. If someone is independent like myself and they're willing to work with you, do it. Try it out. If you are a gym owner, as an example, and you're experienced in weight loss and you know exactly what it takes for someone to lose weight, you know how many calories they have to eat, you know how to track their progress, you know how to get them to lose weight, all of these things. You know how to do all of that and you've mastered that craft. But let's say you don't have the money for a website and your independent contractor or your web developer comes to you and says, this is how much it costs for a website. Let's call it $1,500, and you don't have that. Instead of just saying, I'm going to walk away from this because I don't have the money for it, try instead saying, hey, I'm a fitness expert. You look pretty unhealthy online. Let's see if we can make some deals together. I'll get you to lose X amount of weight in this amount of time. In exchange, would you be willing to make my website for me? You have nothing to lose. If they say no, you're right back at square one. If they say yes, then you get not a client, but you get to work with someone that actually gets to see the inside and outside of your business. The same can be said for marketing. If you don't know how to market and you want to learn and you know that there is someone in your circle that knows how to market, but they're going to require money for it, ask them if you have a skill that's worth using and worth learning that is monetized. Ask them if you can trade the skill that you have for the thing that you need. I actually do this more times than you think. For clients that have really unique products, we're thinking of quilts, really cool clothing lines. Some of you guys are really, really talented. Marketing experience. There are lead agencies that I work with that do an outstanding job of creating content. We'll partner. Why not? We'll see what happens, because at the end of the day, as business owners, we get to trade our values and trade our skills for money. Why wouldn't you trade one skill for another? It's one of the most obvious things that can take place, but we rarely ever think about that. I work with clients now who are helping me out with marketing. And again, I would never be as close to where I am in terms of marketing and making these videos and learning how to set things up if I hadn't partnered with these people, but we bargained. They couldn't afford the $1,000 websites. And so I said, okay, well, what else do you have? And they said, we're pretty darn good at what we do in terms of marketing. And they taught me how to do a few things, and I'm still learning along the way, but we help each other because we have skills that we can build off of one another. Now, keep in mind, every web developer, every contractor, every company is not obligated to take this option. They are more than willing. They have every right to say, despite the highly skilled practice that you practice, we do not accept that, and we only accept cash, and we only accept monetary value. That's okay. But at the very least, try it first. See what they say, and then move on from there. If they don't even want to bargain or trade, you don't know what they're capable of or what they're willing to say yes to because you never ask. If you have a skill or trade that you can use as leverage, try that and see what happens. And so the honest truth is that, again, As far as building your website, there is strategy that goes into it. There's technical setup. There's a lot of trust that you have to convey within the website, right? And so, that's what us developers are focused on. We focus on all of these things together to make sure your website is set up and working as efficiently and effectively as possible for you and for your business. That is an expensive service. I won't lie to you. Because anybody can just make a website. The developers like myself that know what we're doing, we make you so much more than just a website. With us, you're never just paying for something to have your information online. You are always paying for a system. You are always paying for higher integrations. You're always paying for a better look. You're always paying for automations. You're always paying for, ways to get more leads. All of these things are part of business that are just part of what we do. And so there will always be a cost to, you know, running your business, and there will always be a cost to getting an asset that you don't have that you need for your business. And the honest truth is that that can be hard to afford. But despite that, there are four different ways that you can actually go and barter or save or trade for the resource you need based on what you do have. Remember, this is not about how many resources you have. As a business owner and as entrepreneurs, we are tested not on how much we have, but how much we are willing to work with. We are tested not on what we can acquire, we are tested on what we have and to see if we can multiply it. You get the idea of what I'm saying. Um, it is not about resources, it is about being resourceful. And so long as you can be resourceful, you will be successful as an entrepreneur because you will understand the lessons that come with being short on something that you need, whether that's cash or whether that's with a skill or whether that's with marketing or sales, whatever it may be. If you begin to understand that you are lacking something and you are willing to put monetary value or skills to work to attain the thing that you do not have, that is called being resourceful. Because if the solution to every problem was just to throw money at it, we would have an entirely different world than what we live in right now. But sometimes just throwing money at a problem is not the solution. So you need to be able to have various different ways to get to the same goal um, as an entrepreneur. I'll give you a tangible example. A lot of people think if I just run ads and I can spend $1,000 a day on ads, I will be successful. That is not true. You can absolutely throw money at these algorithms and they will just eat your money if you have nothing else set up and you don't know what you're doing. You need to be able to blend being resourceful with the resources that you have, meaning taking the little bit that you have, making the absolute best content, the absolute best strategy, the absolute best product that you can with what you have, and then doing your utmost to sell or profit from that little bit that you gave as much as humanly possible, even if it's only for $1. And then taking that dollar or the money that you made back and then reinvesting that into yourself. The best businesses, the strongest businesses, the ones that have been around for decades, if not centuries, they are masters at this concept. Taking something that they do have, the little that they do have, and making much more than it, multiplying themselves, not waiting for the money to multiply them. So, if this sounds good to you and it makes sense, let's book a call. My name is Chris. I'm the owner of CP Digital Studio. We help businesses like yours grow and become better every single day. And so, don't let money be the reason why we don't speak. Let's talk. Let's figure out what we need for the website. Let's figure out what we need in your business, the two constraints that are holding you back. There's always one or two things that's always holding you back from your business. And we work with you to solve that as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because once that one bottleneck is taken care of, once the one or two bottlenecks are taken care of, the rest of your business changes. The way that you think, the way that you work, the way that you produce, all of these things change because we're taking care of the monkey on our back, the bricks that are holding us back. We take care of those things in day one so that way you can move forward with confidence in the rest of your business. And we've done this hundreds of times. For all the business owners who are curious about what we do, go to our website, cpdigitalstudio.com. You can see for yourself the examples of work that we've done for other businesses and judge for yourself whether or not we're a good fit. And you can see that we put systems in place for business owners, not just static websites. So get in contact with me. Let's get in touch. Let's figure out what you need for your business, solve it, and then move forward so that way you can begin making as much money as you darn well please. That's all for now. Bye.